Welcome to RoboHead's Quick Start video series. This video will show you how to manage budgets and expenses within the RoboHead application. There are a number of ways to view entered expenses in RoboHead. In the project list view, you can include several columns such as total budgeted cost and budgeted expenses. Once you've selected a project, the Summary tab offers a variety of metrics to monitor that project's budget. The Project Information section will show you the budgeted costs and expenses for the project. The Project Metrics section will also display the total cost and budgeted cost along with the remaining budget. If the Metrics view doesn't show these items, click the gear icon and check boxes for those metrics that you wish to see. Now, let's go to the Finances tab where you can add and manage project expenses. Select the Expenses view and click the New Budgeted Expense button to add planned expenses to the project. Click the drop-down menu and select the type of expense. This list is managed by your account admin. Next, set an optional description and set the amount for the expense, then click Save. Actions for the budgeted expenses are found in the pull-down menu next to each expense type. Click on this drop-down menu to add an actual expense to the budgeted one. You can also modify or delete the budgeted expense. Click Modify Expense to make corrections or updates to the budgeted expense. Click Add Actual Expense to begin adding actual expense amounts. The budgeted expense and expense types will already be selected when adding an actual expense under a budgeted one. Add an expense date and amount to save the expense. Optionally, you can also add a supplier and invoice number. On the Expenses screen, the Variance column will use the budgeted and actual amounts entered to calculate the difference between the two fields. Similar to budgeted expenses, actual expenses can be modified or deleted by clicking on the pull-down arrow. You can also add an expense by clicking New Actual Expense. Here, you can optionally set a matching budgeted expense in addition to setting an expense type along with the other fields on the screen. If you do not select a budgeted expense for the actual expense, it will appear as an unbudgeted expense. These unbudgeted expenses can be modified or deleted too. To view the financial summary, click on the View Select dropdown, then click Financial Summary. This screen displays the total estimate and actual costs as well as a burndown chart. To modify expense permissions, head to the Account screen and select Actions, then Modify Account. The Contribute Manage permission gives Project Contribute users the ability to add and manage expenses within that project. Enabling Contribute View gives those users view-only access to those expenses. Contribute None hides expenses for those users completely. Next, the account admin can go to Actions, then Manage Expense Lists to add expense types and vendors or suppliers. Use the drop-down menu to set an expense type or vendor, and then type in the name and hit Add. These can be modified by double-clicking the expense name. Go to Actions and then Manage List columns to add the budget and expense columns to the list of available columns for users to display. You can also add those fields to the project summary through the Manage Summary field screen. To report on expenses, head to the Report screen. There are 3 types of expense reports: budgeted, actual, and all. Expense fields will be listed at the top of the available fields list. Double-click on the field or use the arrows to add it to the report. Once you've selected your fields, you can select how you want to sort and group columns and which fields to calculate. Just like with the available fields list, expense fields will be listed at the top of the filter dropdown. Make sure to save your report before running it. In this example report, we've grouped by expense type, summed actual amounts, and filtered by client. If you have any questions about this video or any other aspect of RoboHead, click the question mark to access our online help or contact RoboHead support.